Have you ever been surrounded by laughing friends and felt like crying? If you just took a deep breath, it means your soul is screaming a truth that Carl Jung discovered about collective loneliness. In the next few minutes, you'll understand why you feel like an alien in your own social circle and how this connects to wounds much deeper than you imagine. You're living in a glass house where everyone can see you, but no one can touch you. And today, we're going to shatter that glass forever. And it doesn't stop there. You're like a talented actor trapped in a play you never auditioned for. You smile when everyone's looking, but feel completely empty inside, like a beautiful vase with nothing but dust inside. You laugh at jokes that aren't funny to you, applauding a comedy while your soul watches a tragedy. You nod along to conversations that bore your soul to death, like being forced to listen to music that makes your spirit want to escape through your ears. You say, "I'm fine," when asked how you are, even though you're drowning in an ocean while everyone else sees you sunbathing on the shore. You know that feeling when you're physically present but emotionally absent, like you're a ghost haunting your own life. When you feel like you're watching your life through bulletproof glass, you can see everything, but nothing can reach you, and you can't reach anything either. You're the one who always listens but never feels heard. Like being a human diary that everyone writes in, but no one reads. You're the emotional janitor of your friend group, cleaning up everyone's messes while your own house falls apart. This isn't paranoia. It's trauma-informed intuition. Your soul recognizes fakeness from miles away, because it's been trained to detect emotional landmines since childhood. You're like a bomb detector in a war zone that everyone else thinks is a peaceful park. Carl Jung discovered something that 97% of people don't know about why this happens. He called it the false persona, but think of it as wearing a costume that became your skin. You put on this mask so long ago that you forgot it wasn't your real face. Here's what Jung understood that modern psychology completely misses. You didn't choose to create this mask. You were sculpted into it, like clay forced into a mold that was never meant to fit your soul's true shape. Jung identified that people who feel lonely in groups have something he termed soul starvation disguised as social hunger. You're like someone dying of thirst but only being offered salt water. You're not seeking connection. You're seeking recognition of your authentic self. But your authentic self learned very early that showing up was dangerous. It's like being a rare bird forced to live in a cage built for canaries. You can't sing your real song because it doesn't fit the space you're trapped in. Here's the shocking truth Jung uncovered. The loneliness you feel among friends isn't about the friends. It's about the fact that you've never been allowed to take off your costume anywhere. Ever. You're like an actor who's been performing so long, they forgot they're not the character. Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is being who you are." But for people like you, being who you are was like lighting a match in a room full of dynamite. So you learned to hide your flame until you almost forgot it existed. You became a master of emotional camouflage, blending into any social environment like a chameleon. But chameleons don't have friends. They have backgrounds they disappear into. This isn't your fault. It's an unconscious survival pattern. Jung discovered that adults who feel invisible in friendships learned as children that love was a currency they had to earn through performance. You became an emotional vending machine. Put in the right behavior, get a little affection out. Your parents, whether they were narcissistic, emotionally unavailable, or simply overwhelmed, taught you that your feelings were inconvenient weather that everyone wished would change. Your needs were treated like interruptions to their more important programming. Your authentic self was either too much, like a thunderstorm, or not enough, like a flickering candle. So you developed what Jung called a survival persona. Imagine building a beautiful house, but never living in it because you're too afraid someone might criticize the architecture. This persona became your emotional prison, complete with bars you built yourself. Jung understood something profound. You're not broken. You're brilliantly adapted. You're like a plant that learned to grow in the dark. You're not too sensitive. You were sensitive in the perfect amount for the wrong environment. You don't attract fake friends. You're unconsciously magnetized to people who mirror the emotional unavailability you learned was normal. It's like being raised on a diet of artificial sweetener and then wondering why real sugar tastes strange. You've been trained to accept emotional crumbs and call it a feast. The truth that will shatter your prison. You're not seeking approval. You're seeking permission to exist. But the only person who can grant that permission is you. Jung discovered that this pattern isn't a life sentence. It's a combination lock waiting for the right sequence. He found a way to reconnect with what he called your authentic self, the part of you that exists beneath all the masks and performances, like a diamond buried under layers of coal. The key isn't learning to be someone new. It's remembering who you were before the world taught you to hide. Now I'm going to show you exactly how Carl Jung broke this pattern and how you can start speaking in your authentic voice again. If you're feeling seen for the first time, like someone finally turned on the lights in a room where you've been sitting in darkness, know that thousands of people here are walking the same path back to themselves. This isn't just a YouTube channel. It's a sanctuary where emotional masks aren't required. We're all refugees from the same war, the war against our authentic selves. We're all learning to remove the armor that kept us safe, but made us invisible. If this resonates with your soul like a tuning fork striking the right note, help me by subscribing. When you subscribe, you're not just clicking a button, you're voting for your own healing. You're saying yes to a world where depth is celebrated, where sensitivity is a superpower, where authentic connection is possible. This isn't about building an audience. It's about building a tribe for people who've forgotten what home feels like. Carl Jung called the process of reclaiming your authentic self individuation. Think of it as emotional archaeology. You're not trying to become someone new. You're excavating who you always were before the world buried you under expectations and fear. Imagine your authentic self as a garden that's been covered by concrete. Individuation is breaking through that concrete, not to plant something new, but to let what's always been there finally grow toward the sun. Jung's first principle, shadow integration. He discovered that the parts of yourself you hide from friends are often your greatest treasures. Like diamonds, you've convinced yourself are worthless rocks. Your sensitivity isn't a weakness. It's a superpower that was weaponized against you. Your need for deep conversations isn't too intense. It's your soul refusing to accept fast food when it craves a feast. Think of your shadow as all the parts of yourself you put in storage because someone told you they were taking up too much space. Jung taught that these stored parts don't disappear. They become like caged animals that either break free destructively or wither away sadly. Jung's second principle, persona consciousness. This is like becoming a detective of your own behavior. Start noticing when you're performing versus when you're being. It's the difference between wearing clothes that fit and wearing a costume that's the wrong size. Ask yourself, am I saying this because I believe it, or because I think they want to hear it? It's like catching yourself lip-syncing to someone else's song instead of singing your own melody. This awareness alone begins to dissolve the false self, like sunlight melting ice. Jung's third principle, active imagination. He taught people to have conversations with their buried authentic self, the child who was told to be quiet, the teenager who was told they were too much, the adult who learned to disappear. What would that authentic self say about your current friendships? What songs would they sing if no one was listening to judge? It's like finding old letters you wrote to yourself and finally reading them with compassion instead of criticism. Jung discovered that most people who feel lonely in groups are actually emotional bloodhounds. They can sense when relationships lack substance. Your loneliness isn't a bug in your system, it's a feature. It's your soul's quality control, refusing to accept counterfeit connection. You're like someone with perfect pitch in a world full of out-of-tune instruments. Of course it hurts to listen. Here's what Jung knew that will change everything. Authentic people attract authentic people, but first, you have to risk being disliked for who you are, rather than loved for who you're not. It's like choosing to be a real diamond that some people think is glass, rather than being fake glass that everyone mistakes for a diamond. Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Your current friends might be mirrors showing you how you've been abandoning yourself. The friend who only calls when they need something. That's how you treat yourself. Only paying attention to your needs when they become emergencies. The friend who never asks how you're really doing. That's how you've learned to hide your truth, even from yourself. Your friendship patterns are like emotional DNA. They carry the blueprint of your earliest relationships. Jung understood that we don't just attract friends randomly. We magnetize people who match our internal emotional temperature. If you're surrounded by people who can't see you, it's because part of you learned that being invisible was safer than being visible and rejected. You became a master of preemptive self-erasure. But here's Jung's revolutionary insight. The cure for loneliness isn't finding better friends first. It's becoming a better friend to yourself. It's like learning to keep yourself company so well that other people want to join the party. Jung's method isn't just theory, it's surgery for the soul. Here's how to start immediately. The authenticity experiment. In your next social interaction, share one genuine feeling or opinion instead of defaulting to agreement. It's like testing the water temperature instead of just jumping into the lake blind. Jung found that authentic expression either deepens relationships like adding fertilizer to healthy soil, or reveals their superficiality like shining light on cardboard painted to look like gold. Both outcomes serve your highest good. Notice what happens when you stop being an emotional chameleon and start being a peacock. Some people will be threatened by your colors, but others will be attracted to your beauty. The energy audit. Jung taught people to notice how they feel before, during, and after social interactions. Real friends are like emotional vitamins. They energize your authentic self. Fake friends are like emotional vampires. They drain your life force and leave you feeling emptier than when you started. Your body is a lie detector that never needs calibration. It knows the difference between connection and performance, between love and manipulation, between friends and energy thieves. The boundary protocol. Jung discovered that people who feel invisible often have emotional boundaries made of tissue paper instead of steel. Start small. Say no to one thing this week that you'd normally say yes to out of guilt or fear. It's like learning to use your voice after years of whispering. Your authentic self is like a precious garden that needs protection from trampling feet. Healthy boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're gates that let the right people in. The Deep Conversation Initiative. Instead of surface-level small talk that feels like eating cardboard, ask friends questions that matter. What's something you're struggling with? What's bringing you joy lately? How are you really doing beneath the social media smile? Jung found that souls recognize souls when given permission to remove their masks. Most people are starving for real conversation, but don't know how to ask for it. The friendship inventory. Jung encouraged people to categorize their relationships with surgical honesty. Who sees your authentic self? Who only knows your performance? Who drains your energy like a broken pipe? Who lights you up like the sun hitting a solar panel? This isn't about judgment. It's about consciousness. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. The solitude practice. Jung believed that people who can't be alone will always feel lonely in crowds. Spend time with yourself without distractions. Learn to enjoy your own company like discovering your favorite restaurant that's been next door all along. When you stop being afraid of your own thoughts and feelings, you stop needing other people to fill the silence. People who've done this work report incredible changes, finding one or two friends who really see them, like finally finding people who speak their native language. They release friendships that were based on performance, like finally taking off shoes that never fit. Most importantly, they feel at home in their own skin for the first time, like moving into a house that was always theirs, but they forgot they had the key. One woman told me she realized she'd been like a talented musician, playing only other people's songs. When she started playing her own music, she attracted other musicians instead of just an audience. Another person described it as finally taking off a costume they'd worn so long. They forgot it wasn't their skin. The relief was overwhelming, not just because the costume was gone, but because they remembered what their real skin felt like. Jung proved that when you stop abandoning yourself, others stop having permission to abandon you too. When you show up authentically, you give others permission to remove their masks as well. Your loneliness among friends isn't a life sentence. It's a wake-up call from your soul. Jung proved that when you stop being a supporting character in everyone else's story, you become the hero of your own. The journey from invisible to authentic isn't always comfortable, but it's always worth it. It's like leaving a warm cave to find out there's a whole world outside with sunshine you'd forgotten existed. You deserve friendships where you can exhale completely, where your sensitivity is celebrated like a rare gift, where your depth is welcomed like water in a desert. You deserve to feel at home with people who see your authentic self and think, finally, someone real. In the comments, tell me, what's one way you've been hiding your authentic self in friendships? This community is here to support your journey back to yourself, like base camp for climbers heading up the same mountain. If this opened something in you, like a door you didn't know existed, the next video you need to watch is about Jung's technique for attracting authentic people into your life. It's called the Law of Authentic Attraction, and it builds directly on what we covered today. Remember, you're not too much, you're not too little, you're not too anything. You're exactly who you're meant to be, and the right people will recognize that light in you like moths drawn to flame. Jung promised this, and I've witnessed it happen thousands of times. Your authentic self isn't lost, it's just waiting for you to remember it exists. Are you ready to come home to who you really are? The door is open. The only question is, will you walk through it?